Hello, everybody. Welcome to Gamer Grudge, where, like usual, we're going to be talking about Nintendo. But hey, we have proof, definitive proof, that they are the absolute worst at this point because they just keep digging their own grave. But before we get into that, as always, I am joined by Andrew Interactive. Andrew, why don't you say what's up?
Lollapalooza.
Lollapalooza! All right, and I'm also joined by our Kevin's Logistical Operations Unit. So, Kevin, why don't you say what's up?
Yeehaw! Let's get into some legal battle.
We will be getting into legal battles as soon as we roll the intro. Alrighty, as I stated previously in the intro, we're going to be talking about some legal issues with Nintendo yet again, because if there's anything that Nintendo loves, it's a good lawsuit. But for starters, we have this article from PC Gamer that is talking about specifically a 9-year-old charity speedrunning event that got canceled. Well, not really canceled, it's still going on, but Nintendo pulled their games from the speedrunning event for charity because of legal concerns and because they didn't ask for permission prior, even though they have been doing it for 9 years. Specifically, it is RTA in Japan. It is one of Japan's largest speedrunning charity events, and Nintendo, as PC Gamer said, wagged their legal finger, and RTA has been raising money since 2014, making this year's event the 9th of its kind, and Nintendo apparently has had enough. But now, RTA has released a statement specifically about it, saying that we would like to explain how we've come to use games for which Nintendo holds the copyright, yada yada yada. They go on in here. If you want to read it, you can. I'm not going to read the entirety of it, but it says the use of Nintendo games by corporation requires prior permission according to the Nintendo Corporation. And so, since they didn't have prior permission, that didn't constitute authorized use, and so they are no longer allowed to use the games, even though they have been using Nintendo games for 9 years. So, Andrew, what do you think about it?
I find it ironic they pulled it from a speed running competition when they're speed running their reputation into the ground.
Oh, mic drop. We can just stop the video there. Ultimate burn. But no, like I agree with you here. Like Nintendo, like come on. I mean, you can't just let something slide. They've been doing it for 9 years, and like now apparently you've had enough where you're just like, oh, okay, 9 year, like going on for 8 years that's fine, but the ninth year, that's where we draw the line. That's horrible. And now you all of a sudden have to ask for permission when you didn't have to before. And come on, it's for charity. They're just raising money. Big deal. Come on. But I get Japan has much stricter like usage laws and everything than the US does. But still, I just feel like this is something that Nintendo could have just let slide. Kevin, what do you think?
There's a lot wrong here, obviously, whenever we're dealing with Nintendo and their legal choices. I want to point out they sell a game that almost practically promotes speedrunning, and it celebrates that. And there's also a big community built off of like Super Smash Brothers Melee tournaments that they've taken down before or have given a lot of legal problems with. But in the vein of staying away from like legal stuff, I think doing speedruns and stuff like this, it's good for Nintendo in a way, because it like shows Nintendo what's wrong with their games and like they can patch it or fix it or whatever. Also too, just plain human stuff at the end of the day, it's charity. Like they're not making money off of it, clearly. And yeah, it's just weird movement by Nintendo as usual.
But they are making money. It's money for the children. You think those children deserve money? Huh? Nintendo
F them
doesn't think they
kids.
do. Nintendo doesn't think that they
F all of
deserve
them.
money. Nintendo thinks that they can't use their property because it might make somebody else some form of money.
Oh, speaking of using their games, I just want to point out like a quick story I remember like back in June, I think it was. There was a native PC port of Mario Kart 64 made by a small group of people. And apparently they did Zelda and Star Fox too. And that was able to be done simply because they reversed engineered the game and didn't use Nintendo's code. So legally, they they got copies of the original game, but Nintendo can't go for them because they're not using Nintendo's code. So if you're one of those speedrunner people, like corporations, I don't know what you are. If you're out there, just hire these people to re-engineer the game, and boom, you got an immediate protect spell on you.
Do it.
Don't trust me for legal advice, please.
Don't trust any of us for legal advice. We're idiots, but
For real.
except for Andrew.
No,
Andrew's
no,
a
you
smart
have to
one.
trust us. You have to trust us. This is totally real. Gamer Grudge has always been real.
We
It's not a skit or a bit. It's always real.
we have simulated
Stop breaking the wall.
countless years of legal knowledge and tons of real world experience into Andrew Interactive. So he just knows everything. So you can always trust what he says.
We're like the TV show Suits, but we actually deal about the law.
But
My friend is studying to be a lawyer, so by osmosis, I should be classified as a lawyer because I am
Good.
within the friend circle. So yeah, that technically makes me a lawyer. You're welcome.
good. Everybody's a
Yeah,
lawyer.
by transitive laws. The KLO unit is a lawyer.
Exactly.
Bam. Look
But
at us.
you know what? We're
We,
not going. We might need a lawyer for the next one too. So keep your legal knowledge ready. At the ready here, because the next story has to do with a Power World ripoff game that just so happens to be allowed on the Nintendo eShop. When right now Nintendo and Pocket Pair are in a legal battle over Power World specifically because of really stupid reasons with like various trademarks that were done by Nintendo that's like, oh, hey, you can't use a ball throwing mechanic. Oh, you can't use a monster catching mechanic. Oh, you can't use a mount mechanic. Come on. I mean, Nintendo brings all of these to Pocket Pair, and then all of a sudden it's just like, hey, this game that's an obvious ripoff called Powland is now available on the Nintendo eShop, and only in the Nintendo eShop, I might add.
It's because Nintendo failed at their original attempt because guess what? It's not a Pokemon ripoff. But wait, there's more. They couldn't even win a copyright thing in the Japan court system, which Nintendo always wins because it's not a Pokemon ripoff. So they got their feelings hurt and they made up a bunch of patents. And then they're like, well, we could play this at their own game. We're going to steal for the very first time, for sure. Definitely the first time. Dragon Quest what? Akira Toriyama what? No. Original Pokemon designs.
Of course.
Now this is just hitting me.
What?
Whoever these people are making Palland, they're copying the people that allegedly copied Pokemon, that allegedly copied like other Dragon Quest and stuff like
It's
that.
a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. Exactly.
So then who sues the copy of the copy?
You know, it's kind of like that old school game Telephone. You know, you hear like someone creates the idea, and then you hear about it, and then you hear about it, and then you hear about it, and eventually it gets so watered down that you don't even know what the original was.
Well, and also too, this is on the eShop. It says it's priced for $10, discounted for $3.99 till August 14th. This is just Nintendo not having a grasp on their eShop, where during the Switch 1 generation, that was like just full of slop and just whatever this stuff is now. And what is this studio thinking? Like, I get whoever who made Pocket Pair, they made Pal World.
Yep.
It's like they're having enough legal problems there. This studio, I know, like, discredit, but they're not as big as Pocket Pair. They're gonna get wiped off the face of planet Earth.
Oh, I mean, possibly. And by the way, the people who made this game is called Boggysoft. But as shown by Nintendo Life here, specifically, they included various screenshots of the game so you can tell exactly how bad it is. So I'm just including this for people to see. I mean, I'm not sharing my screen for the others, so. But obviously, like, you can tell, like, the one... So I will describe it to you guys a little bit. At least in one of the screenshots, obviously there's like a dire wolf looking monster or whatever that looks very reminiscent of one of the Pokemon in Pokemon. It also looks like one of the pals in Pal World. There's also a crab one. I don't remember if there's a crab one in Pal World or not, but anyway, there's also a giant mammoth looking one that looks like, another one of the pals from Pal World. And then you also have like building mechanics that, at this point, like, survival games just have building mechanics, but I feel like just style wise of how everything looks here. And I just realized it. I'm going to like kind of zoom in on this a little bit. I can't really zoom in that far, I guess. But you people who are watching at home, go ahead and look right here where my mouse is like swirling around, because that looks an awful lot like a frickin' Charizard. And yet Nintendo's allowing a Charizard-like creature to be in a game on their eShop? Like, come on. Come on. Like, what is this?
Only
This is
Nintendo
the
can
classic
steal Nintendo.
This is the classic we have Pokemon at home. I mean, granted, again, why is this on the eShop? Like, it wasn't their big thing, like, oh, we're gonna make sure there's no eShop slot, like, around or whatever. And here they are letting a Pal World clone of Pokemon, but it's really a clone of Pal World, specifically Pal Land. Like, why is this happening?
Even the main character
Can
that
they
they're
get it together?
using to advertise looks an awful lot like the main character they use to advertise Pal World. I mean, still bright orange hair and like similar getup. I mean, come on. It's beyond an obvious ripoff. Like, as much as that one game that's being made, I can't even remember the name, is like as much of a ripoff of Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah. I mean, granted, the designs for these things look better, or like look more original.
I mean, yeah,
Kind
original in the sense that it looks like a 3-year-old drew it and then stuck the drawing up on the fridge, and then the parent went,
albeit
hey, that's going to be in a video game.
Yeah, this promo art looks a lot more crisp than the actual gameplay I'm currently looking at. But, hey, I can't make games, so they know better than me.
But terrible games aside, the next story is going to be brought by what Andrew sent me as from this user on Instagram called Gunverse. They pointed out that saying sources have confirmed that Nintendo was the one to say something about it. Scotty Young's depiction of the Deadpool Batman variant cover edited to remove a Pokeball parody due to legal concerns. Yada yada yada. So he is alleging that Nintendo is behind the reason why the Scotty Young Deadpool Batman cover comic book was changed from being what looks maybe vaguely like a Pokeball if you really squint your eyes, to half Deadpool's face, half the Batman logo, or half the Deadpool logo, half the Batman logo. But as pointed out here, I will bring up this article by Comics Beat that people very much believe that it is the Pokeball symbol and are constantly saying that it is the Pokeball, but turned sideways. It is not. I hate to break it to anybody who actually believed that it was a Pokeball, but you're stupid if you thought it was a Pokeball. I mean, have you ever seen Deadpool's symbol? Have you ever seen his belt buckle? It's very obviously that. But as they brought up in here, they turned a Pokeball sideways. They showed a comparison, and like maybe vaguely it looks like it, but Scotty Young posted about it on Instagram under the name Stupid Freshness. He said, spot the difference. Here you go. Here's the two different covers, the before and after. And then he said, you gotta love legal. And then went on to say that Pokemon had nothing to do with the cover. And so he said, you gotta love legal because they made the gag a bit better, and so did everyone else, perpetuating the whole, hey, it's a Pokeball thing. It's not a Pokeball, people. It really is not. But the reason why we bring this up is because this very much points out something in media that people jump to, where there's a lot of journalists and a lot of specifically gaming journalists who like to jump on the, oh, this is believable, let me write something about this. This article on Screen Rant, for instance, it shows that, like, them talking about how this specifically was a Pokemon homage. They said, where is it? It is Young's art for the series initially featured a visual shout out to the iconic Pokemon franchise, but the publishers have now swapped out that version for one that omits the Pokeball homage. So therefore, they even perpetuated the whole, hey, this was a Pokeball, when Scotty Young himself even said it's not a Pokeball. But Andrew, what do you think about this?
Are we defending Nintendo now?
Oh, I
Anyway.
mean, this is very much a
Anywho.
Nintendo thing that would happen. They would go after Marvel and DC, maybe.
This
I guess.
is a very, very Nintendo thing to do. Hence, they've done it before in the past. But in this situation, I don't know. Even if it was a Pokeball, you don't want people paying homage to your stuff? Of course not, because you're Nintendo. Why would you want anyone paying homage to anything when you can get a lawsuit out of it? I don't know. I'm just an AI.
I mean, I don't know.
I'm looking
I'd
at the
want
two
people paying homage
covers.
to my stuff. You're looking at the covers?
I mean, I'm looking at the two covers side by side, like the old one that's causing the problem, and like obviously the one with the half Batman, half Deadpool.
Yeah.
It just lends itself to the art style that they're going for Deadpool. Like, it's more cartoony. It almost looks like the Castle Crashers, like that style, if you know what I'm... Very big stretch there, but you know what I mean. Like, it just... Like, any circle with a dot in the middle could be classified as a Pokeball. You know?
Don't
like,
you know any circle, the circle inside of it is legal target for Nintendo's legal department?
Well, yeah, it lends itself to what it was. Like, with
Every
Palworld.
circle with a circle inside of it is a Pokeball.
They invented circles. They invented the circle.
No, Nintendo didn't invent the circle. They invented the circle inside of the circle. Nobody thought about putting a circle inside a circle until they came up with a Pokeball. That's what it is.
Innovation at its finest, I must say.
It's like, you know, now next they're going to come up with another revolutionary idea of putting a circle inside a square. Ooh.
This also, like, this is a Deadpool and Batman comic. It couldn't be any further away from, like, Pokemon. Because, like, I know DC in the past has done, like, weird crossovers with Sonic, which, like, hello. Yeah. But, like, this isn't your wheelhouse, Nintendo. Like, this isn't gonna cause problems. I mean, I saw a story over yesterday, apparently in, like, the new Alien movie. They showed Ice Age, the movie, and now that's canon in that universe. So, like, what's the deal here with Pokemon?
I mean, Pokemon's just not allowed to exist in any other form of media besides what Nintendo decides. Like, they're only allowed to have the Pokemon anime and the Pokemon games. Pokemon can't appear in anything else besides Super Smash Brothers. Even that's stretching it.
Enough.
Nintendo might sue themselves for that.
Infinite money glitch. Just sue yourself and you'll get the money.
Exactly. But this is just a story that showcases, hey, don't believe what you see in the first report. Don't believe everything that you read online. Make sure you do a little bit of digging, go beneath the surface, and you know what? Find a credible source. And you know, in this case, it was specifically Scotty Young himself who came up with the art. So, you know, if he says it had nothing to do with Pokemon, it had nothing to do with Pokemon. So, therefore, as we said before, make sure you're just doing your reading here, folks. But
unless it's Gamer Grudge, and then believe it 100% because this is totally real and not satire.
We
100% real.
Are 100% always factual. 100% of the time, 60% of the time, we get things right. Remember that. Now we might have another legal department coming after us because we're using a quote in a movie. But Andrew, overall, how are you rating Nintendo now, considering their latest fumbles?
Well, considering we defended them at the end, I will give it 2 Goombas from Wish out of 10 circles inside of a circle.
All right.
Ooh.
And Kevin, what are you rating Nintendo based off of all this?
I'm giving them 2 vaguely similar Pal World clones on the eShop slop out of 15.
Dang. Kevin coming up with a worse one than Andrew.
I
2
gotta
out
set
of
the
15
bar
to 7,
sometimes,
2 out
you
of
know?
10. But, all right. But thank you, everybody, for joining us for this episode of Gamer Grudge. If you like our content, feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitch. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us everywhere else. You know, if you want to talk more with us, you can always join our Discord as well. The links to that is in the description down below. But, as always, I have been Aiden. I've been joined by Andrew Interactive and our Kevin's Logistical Operations Unit. And we will see you all next time.